Yes, good evening. You've reached Speak Your Mind. I'm your host, Whitney DeCastro, and I have my co-host here, Sam Henry. And we're going to have a nice live discussion with you tonight. Of course, we're right in your living room, right on your computer. And we're going to have a dialogue with the people of the Virgin Islands tonight. I've just introduced myself. I'm going to allow Sam to introduce himself, but if you know anyone that is within your ears or within your telephone call them and let them know that the show is on. You can give them the channel 55, or you can tell them to go straight to www.jtvlive.net, and that's where they can find us as well. We've heard reports that we're being broadcast all around the world. So we want to let our viewers know, those here on the island and those abroad, that we're right here and we're going to continue to speak your mind and also reach into this community to get out of our people what is on their mind and what are the things that they need to speak about. So Sam, go right ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, good evening. Welcome back again to another Speak Your Mind session on this Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Again, we just want to encourage everyone to tune in, call somebody, to tell somebody that the show is on. This is a show, I believe, that is very informative. We allow you to express yourself, tell us what's happening, what's going on in the community, what's plaguing the community, what's stopping growth. So we're here today to help facilitate some of your concerns. Just tell somebody to call in. We're going to open up the phone lines early tonight, again and again, to give you more time and opportunity to call in and tell us what's happening in the community. Courtney?
Yes. One of the things we're going to discuss tonight, Sam, is we're going to talk about the banking system in the Virgin Islands, and we're going to specifically talk a little bit about the interest rates, the refinancing, and the loan situation. I've been made to understand that our banks, first of all, they're not lending as much money as they were lending in the past. Of course, we know that we're in a recession, and we also know that there's such a thing as predator lending, where some people lend to people who they know can't pay back, just so they can repossess their property or their vehicles, etc. And we're mindful that this, to some extent may be some of the situation here. And we also are mindful that the banks are the ones that got us in this problem that we're in the first place, well, the big banks. And the various governments bail them out. However, without money in circulation, a lot of people feel the pinch. And what I'm speaking about specifically is the construction industry. When there is no funds out there to do infrastructure work, projects, build houses, build roads, build schools, when there's no money out there in circulation, it doesn't get down to the restaurant, to the supermarket, to the shoe repair shop, to the hairdresser. And that is what I'm speaking about, where there is money in circulation in short supply. And I think all banks need to do something about that, to get some money in circulation so our economy can bounce back. And Sam, we're going to look at that and see if there are other people out there in our community who is feeling the same way.
Yeah.
And who can express themselves about their own experiences, because it is the experiences of the people of this country that we are concerned about. Not your experience and my experience, so to say.
Yeah.
But more so the majority of the people, what is affecting them and what is making them feel, you know.
Well, I think there's some real concern with the banking system in this country, especially with the two U.S. Banks.
Okay.
I think those need to be looked at. I don't think they're being regulated properly in this country to be in a foreign country. I think they're utilizing U.S. system, or maybe being allowed to utilize the U.S. system here in the BVI. So it's making it extremely harder for us who are non-U.S. citizens to acquire loans and financing, and even now just to go in and look at records and so forth. They're asking for a Social Security number, and they're telling you must have one. And we're not a U.S. country that utilize Social Security number with our documentation of our banking system. So I think it definitely needs to be looked at. But also, in addition to that, Courtney, I think just this week alone, I've had a number of people, a lot of people, that have real concern about this driver's license tying into the work permit. And what I heard most from a lot of people is that it's not that they don't want to go through the process. The problem they're experiencing is that, first, the Labor Department is a holdup. And when you try to get your driver's license before your work permit is actually approved, you're being told to go get letters, and people are just being run around, trying to organize their business. And what I've understood from many of the, especially men who drive for a living, that if their work permit or the job, the employer, has already committed to rehiring them,
yes,
the process should be a much easier. Maybe could be in the form of a letter that the employer gives to the employee, so when they go renew their work permit, you know, the Labor Department knows that this person has already been hired or rehired. And that process, those people in that situation should be able to get through faster. So the work permit is processed quicker. They get to go down to a driver's license and get their driver's license. And it's also disrupting the lives of these people who have to pick up their wives, drop their kids to school. A gentleman the other day said, you know, he has 3 kids. Yeah. And all of them go to different schools. You have some in high school, some in primary school, and it's very difficult. And also, one of the problems they're experiencing is that everything is at the same time.
Yes.
So it means that if you have 2 work permits in a household that has to be processed at the same time, and then you have driver's license that has to be paid for at the same time, the money that most people are making in this country is actually killing people. Yeah. So it's something that, you know, callers, I know you're there. You guys talk to me all week. This is your time to tell us what's going on. So, you know, those who are responsible for making policies and making changes to the policies can hear you and hear your concerns. So I advise everyone to please call in. Let us know. Start now. Don't wait till the last minute. You don't need someone else to tell what's happening and tell your situation. Call in and let us know ahead of time.
Okay. That's good, Sam. While you were saying that, I was thinking too that work permits are for 1 year. So that means every year you have to go through the same process. It would not afford people who are on work permit the benefit of buying a driver's license for 3 years.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a big problem too. And even so, government itself loses.
It's a loss of revenue.
It's a loss of revenue for government.
Of revenue because instead of buying a 3-year license, you have to buy a 1-year license every year. And it's also a lengthy process.
Yeah. Well,
so let's see. We have one text. Let's see if what the person is saying, so we could point. The license department is acting like police, judge, and jury. Well, that's one person's opinion. Police, judge, and jury.
I want to say to that person that is so. That is true. But I think what's happening also in the license department, they're under so much strain from the ministry.
But isn't it true too that the laws were changed? So because the laws were changed, they are following the law.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're under a lot of pressure from the ministry, so people need to understand that these concerns they're having with institutions such as license department or labor department, what people should be doing is documenting their concerns, the issues they're having, document them. When you go into the labor department, you've been going there for 5 years and all of a sudden there's a change to the policy but it's not written down. You need to have something in documentation to show that this is what's happening, so when you bring your concerns to the politicians, you have something in writing, and it helps the people to move forward.
Definitely. But like we were saying, the fact that it's losing revenue should be a concern to the government in this tough economic time, because one of the things we would hope that we would be doing is, you know, reorganizing ourselves so that we can get more revenue. We have a call. Let's go straight to it. Yes, good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah. Courtney, that problem needs to change, and they need to change now. I'm a beautiful islander. I don't have to pay for that. But it's a bunch of garbage.
Okay.
It's no way in the world you could tie in a driver's license with a work permit. You're driving, you're supposed to get a driver's license every 3 years. What I got to do with your work permit? Then the next thing down in that apartment there, I told them about 28,000 people. That's about 15 different license plates. The whole of the department needs restructuring, man.
Well, I'm going to agree with you there, but at the same time, I'm not sure that we have the 27,000 that you said, because we had a census in 2010, and this is now 2012, and we still can't get any numbers from them, not even preliminary numbers. You're laughing, but I'm very serious, because we, in my profession, we need statistical data to work from. We need to know how many people go to school, how many people live in each district. We need to know how many male, how many female, how many children, how many people are voting age. We need to know a lot of things. Yeah. How many computers, how many cell phones you have in the country. All this stuff is gathered when you gather census information. And we are not getting any results from the census people. Yeah,
but okay, for instance, I had a pickup driving. Boots Walters told me, as long as I use the truck for construction, bringing material, it's not private. He's who change it to commercial. Now I get going down to do the same thing with the Jeep. They're telling me down there, I got to change, go back to private. Only company could get CM plates. It's a whole ton of confusion down there. That's African Junior Department. And then when you're going to pay for the private now, they're still charging you the same money for the commercial in your private plate. What kind of garbage is that?
That area needs sorting out as well. I agree.
Man, I tell you, I don't know how this country gets on, man. We upside down, man. But there are 2 ministers of work to do. Dr. Pickering got a lot of work to do, and Mark Wantapool got a lot of work to do to clean up this country. Trust me.
Well, I agree with you, and I hope that they're listening, and I hope they're listening, and I hope that they're putting the feelers out to feel the community and to understand what the community needs.
Yeah.
Carla, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, we have some problems. Do you right now have maybe a few ideas that you can share with us, that maybe the politicians who are listening can probably, have something to work with? I mean, just give the two scenarios that you proposed just now. Well, what you think would be a good fix to maybe eliminate some of these plates?
Yeah, okay. As long as you're using a vehicle to do anything besides just care passenger, your family, it's not private. That's why Boots Walters changed my plate from private to CM. And I got CM0747. He's who changed it. He said as long as you're using it for construction, you can't stand your material, you can't lumber, you can't cement. It's not a private vehicle.
Well, Carla, you're not saying something else, and it has to do with insurance. Because if you're doing commercial work with your vehicle, you should have commercial coverage as well.
Yeah.
But if you have private plates, how could you have commercial coverage if you have private plates?
But that's what I'm saying, down that department, now I buy another vehicle. I asked the girl if I could use my same license plate, which is she telling me no. Like only companies like Concrete Truck and them big companies could go use same plate. It's a bunch of garbage. And then we change it. And then when you go to pay for the money, they're charging you money for commercial plate and you got private license plate. But where in the world do you ever hear that?
Yeah. I think
country just upside down, man. I think
this is.
Gotta clean it up.
I agree with you. This is an area that really needs looking into.
You don't have no car, got no driver license, tie in with no work permit. It's garbage. I don't care who. I'm a told you, and I don't got to go through it. But it's garbage.
It's a loss of revenue to me. Because if you only could get a 1-year license at a time, and they sell 3-year license, which is more revenue in any 1 year, it seems to me like we're missing an opportunity to make money.
I tell you, our country in trouble.
Okay.
And I tell you, our next thing again, we got to put brakes on 2 things. Stop giving belong status to these people. If you're going to do it, do 15 a year or 20 a year, and that's it. Not 2-3 times a year you're giving people 25, 30, 40 people belong status. We outnumbered by far. And if you keep on doing that, you don't have enough space for Tatolian.
While you're on that topic, though, I was discussing with Sam. We have to thank the online news service BVI News for carrying a story that we ran last week, and there were some 140 something blogs on the subject of where you're born and where you're from. So we have to thank them for carrying it, because the only way we're going to get some of these issues solved is by talking them through in the community. And the community has mixed views about that topic, and we were able to look at some of the views that were posted. So it's a related topic. It's related to what you were saying, because we have people in...
If Tatola got 40% of population native to them, and outside is 60, we done in trouble. We're in a country where here there are more expatriates than one native.
Okay.
Something wrong there. The government need to put a brakes on work permit entirely. Put a brakes on it. You got too much people walking about to the BVI, and you're still bringing here every week Filipino. Every institution you're going now, you see Filipino. Something wrong. When you're bringing them, you got people here walking about to our work.
Okay. Well, you're making a strong point as far as labor management is concerned.
Yeah, and there never be a help to the BVI.
Okay.
No time at all. We go up with people from the Eastern Caribbean who help build this country. 1964, when I was keeping a company, Parlin Company, there was Guyanese and a few Trinidadians. They cut the road from West End to Town.
I remember.
1966. Those days we may have backhoe in high masculine army equipment. Now we have them.
Carla, I want to tell you something. I think a few months ago, one of the community folks, some of the folks in the community had a meeting with government, and they wanted to highlight the fact that with the amount of Filipinos or other folks coming into the country in large group, the economy was suffering, and they were able to tie in the fact that all people, Caribbean people, most of us who can't go to St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, was spending our money directly here, back into the community. So these guys were able to show government with real figures and real statistics that if you want to save the economy, one of the ways you can save the economy is by reducing the amount of people you have coming in your country who are not assimilating, who are not supported, who are not spending their money back in the community because they have other means. So, I mean, you're bringing out some things that are also tied to other things. And it's important that our politicians look at that. I mean, that's something that probably came up at the last meeting. So anybody that's out there listening that went to the meeting in East End, the labor meeting, could probably share some light on that also, because it all tied into each other. And I'll probably expand a little bit more on that later on also.
Okay, let me show you something. 90% are construction workers from the Eastern Caribbean. And money going out of the country by thousands every week. Grenada, St. Lucia, Guyana, Jamaica, all over. That money going out and ain't coming back. Okay? So don't mind a couple of people that go to St. Thomas and shop. They shop because of high food prices here. But millions of dollars going out of our country every week. Every week it's going like 10 million every week. Because they have too many tools in the construction. And the money going out. So don't let them fool you with that foolish about a couple of Filipinos come here and they don't go to shop. No. $1 million going to our country every week. And that money gone, they ain't coming back. So don't let them fool you with that.
All right, Carla.
Okay.
thank you very much for your input. You really shed some light on some areas, and we're going to try and expand on a few of them. So thank you very much. We're going to take a break now for the sponsors of the show, the people that make this show possible. So we're going to take a break, and we will be right back with you.
Hi, I am Tanisha Harrigan-Scott, and I am here to bring you some exciting news from Digicel. Now you can talk more and text more for only $15. A great new price point from Digicel, the bigger, better network. Have you heard? When you top up $15 or more, you get incredible deals with Digicel. Get 100 free minutes, unlimited SMS, and free weekends for 7 days to local Digicel numbers. Top up $15 again, and it will automatically be extended for another 7 days. For more information, drop by our store or visit our website at www.digicelbbi.com. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
Our viewers out there in the digital world, we're right here with you again. We just off of a caller that raised some very important points, and one of the things that we were trying while we were offline is to look at the government portal to see if there is a way to communicate with the government and to voice your opinion on matters immediately. And one such area that we as citizens should be able to do that is through the websites, and we've tried the various websites, and most of them are not working. And the ones that are working, we're glad that they're working, but we're expecting a better dialogue with, being able to take down forms. We shouldn't have to go to a government office to get a form. We're thinking about being able to get email response. I don't mean immediate email response if that's not possible, but at the least in a working day. We have a call. Let's go to the call. Yeah, good evening. If you speak your mind, go right ahead, please.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm calling concerning the caller that called just now before you went to commercial break about people sending home money.
Yes.
What they're sending home is a very small fraction for what they have to spend here to survive. Look at it, you have to pay about $1,000 a month on the rent. You go to the supermarket and tell me the prices of groceries, the light bill, the water bill, the phone bill, everything you have to pay for. Not to mention this work for making this food and the car that is $75. If he decides he wants to put on a package to put on money at the temple, he really needs to rethink it, because what more can we do? No more.
We're call.
This is enough money we have to spend for visa and all of that.
Well, caller, I don't think the caller is a person in that position, so he may not know the details of what someone.
We have to spend a lot of money already.
Of course.
Just to survive.
Of course, we all do. And
and we have family back home. We have to send them money to. What are they going to eat?
Well, there's a more salient point than that you're not mentioning. But once you work for your money, it's yours.
I'm being paid $5 an hour. I have 3 kids right here that I send to school, and I'm a single parent. And whenever my family calls for a little money, I can't send more than 100 or 200 to them.
Yeah.
So what he's talking about, these people have families to take care of.
Of course.
And they spend 90% of their paycheck right here in the BVI. The money stays right here in the BVI. It doesn't go anywhere else. I think you should put that into consideration before we start talking again about people sending home money.
Don't forget the point Don't forget the point I'm making though. Once you have earned your money, that money belongs to you. You can do whatever you want to do with it.
We already pay tax on the money also. All right then. Good night.
All right. Good night.
Thank you. Carla was good.
The car was good, yeah.
And she goes to support a little bit of what I was saying.
Yeah.
A lot of the money that folks from other Caribbean islands make, it does circulate in the community. They go shopping at some of these stores, the restaurant, the supermarket. The money has to stay here, despite the fact that some of the money goes out of the country, which is fine. They have their family to take care of.
Yeah.
So,
Samuel, another call. Yeah, good evening. You're free speaking, man. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, got me, Sam, you walk out of Totola, right?
yeah.
And you go to St. Thomas on a bond. When you go to St. Thomas on that bond, you get a year. Your license suit for a year.
What license?
Your driver's license. You want to get a driver's license in St. Thomas and you on a bond in the 70s when you used to work there. You had to go to get your work permit. So you should call it a bond then.
Right.
Then you go to the inspection.
That's why you were confusing me a little bit, because I know that's not the situation now.
It's not that situation now?
No.
What is changing it?
I don't think you have. I think if you go and you have an address, you just give them your address and you get your driver's license.
You get 3 months license. But if you use a person on a banner, just going on a weekly thing, you can get a year license.
Well, that may be.
I worked down there for 5-6 years. And every year I had to go and renew my license and go down some years to the inspection lane and then get the guy to walk with your license down there for the year. Then when you get a green card, then you get a 3 years license.
Well, that may be the system in St. Thomas, but that don't necessarily mean it have to be the system here. And I like the fact that
driving on a 3 month permit. Every month they're going to get a 3 month permit. Some people ain't on a license.
But I like the fact that you mentioned the green card, because that is a step towards some kind of permanency if you're going to be living for 20 years. They have people here living here temporarily for 20 years. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but people living there for 20 years, some of them may make no move to do nothing.
That's true too.
Years, they try to do something.
That's true too. I had a friend who was living here for about 30-something years, and he didn't make a move to do anything. And I mean, it's unfortunate that he died, but he never ever made any move at all.
One lady was talking about the Indiana trial, and the fellow asked her, well, you're right into this, you do anything. I do not know how long they should have done call me. How they going to call you, so?
No, you're making a strong point, because some people don't do anything and expect things to happen. But then again, too, I know some people who have put in time and time again, and they never ever get any results.
That's the truth, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thanks.
Have a good night.
Thanks for your enlightenment.
Thanks, Carla.
All right, thank you. See, there you go, Sam. There may be other reasons that we don't know why the law is in place.
Well, this is something that probably we need to check out.
Yeah. Good evening. You're free speaking, man. Go right ahead, please.
Good evening. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay.
You had a previous caller talking about when we walk with money, we send back our home, right? But I want to use a reference. You see this lotto that comes from Puerto Rico?
Yes.
You make non-money that go away from this country more than that lotto. And I would glad if the government could have put in some tax or something with the lotto. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. There's a caller who feels that the lottery, the earnings from the lottery or the activity of the lottery should be in some way producing revenue, and that's something that I've talked about before, and I think it's something that maybe our legislators should look at in a positive way, by doing the research, doing the study, doing the draft legislation, or meeting with the interest groups, whatever it takes to move it forward.
All I could say about that is that it would be very interesting to see what the licensing agencies such as Puerto Rico or St. Thomas Lottery have to say about the tickets being sold out here without them actually making any money off it. Lotto tickets I don't care for.
Yeah.
It is a big loss for government, because I always ask the question, if people are going between here and Puerto Rico with $100,000 worth of paper commodity.
Yes.
Is that legal or illegal? As far as I know, commodity could be any piece of paper that could be traded for value.
Yeah.
It has a value on it.
And,
So-
there's a 10,000.
and there's a there's a $9,999 limit.
Okay, thanks for correcting me.
You know, so I ask the question all the time, but
Yeah.
you know, a lot of our people make a good living off it. So the government has a lot of work to do, like the caller said.
Yeah, they do.
And if you touch lotto, you have to touch a whole lot of other stuff. And we're talking about expanding tourism. Lottery is a form of gambling.
Yes.
And many of the markets that we are seeking or looking at, as far as encouraging them to come to our territory, they like gambling.
Yeah,
that's why St. Martin is very successful in the gambling arenas, the casinos and so forth. When you go to those casinos and you look at the people, if you were to do a survey on the people who are there, they're Eastern Europeans, they're Asians, you know, we have a few of our people around the Caribbean also, but mostly the visitors that visit St. Martin, the Eastern Europeans, they love to gamble. So it's something that if we're talking about expanding our reach and facilitating more tourists, the diverse group of tourists that might come to this country, those are the kind of things they want to engage in. So,
Sam, let me see if I could get to some text while we're waiting on our calls. It's one of the texts that came and said the biggest problem we face is the fall off of tourism and the lack of private sector participation in businesses. It said, but I have been noticing that persons in the government aren't doing what they're hired to do. Most of our government workers in Labor Department, especially, if you ask me, this country isn't getting better. And that's what makes a lot of British Virgin Islanders sad. Talking about inefficiency. What do you think about all these contract workers, government, i.e. public works? As I think they're referring to government policy to hire some people by contract. And that's an option the government always have. You know, you can either have persons on what we call permanent and pensionable, or you can have them on contract, or you can have them temporary. The temporary ones, I'm of the opinion that the temporary one costs the government more money than anything else, but that we'll see how that works out. Good evening, you're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
In reference to the last caller about the lotto operation,
Yes.
it's not much the government could do with that, because if they do anything to let it go ahead, it's creating gambling. And if they do something like that, I don't see why they can't fix the parameter betting on the track, which is more professional kind of moving. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I hope I didn't send the wrong message though. The message I was saying is that we need to look at it as a community, and I think that the ministry responsible should probably take the lead and do what is necessary. Do the background information, right? Put out the background information to the citizens. Meet with the interest groups. There are a number of interest groups that are for, and a number of interest groups that are against. Meet with them and find out if there's a way forward. If there's no way forward, it doesn't make sense. Laws are made to govern the people.
Yeah, but Courtney, the caller said there's not much the government could do. There's a lot the government could do.
There's a lot the government. First of all, it's illegal.
The country belongs to the people and the government. So,
they can do a lot of things.
If you're selling Puerto Rico lottery ticket in this country and you're not licensed by the lottery board in Puerto Rico to sell tickets outside of Puerto Rico in this country, that in itself is probably an illegal act in Puerto Rico. So, I mean, at the same time, again, people make a good living off it. Why shouldn't the government now look at maybe considering if we're going to expand our reach in tourism again and again? And this is a form of gambling. We're talking about gambling as a new way of generating funds and revenue in this country. Then the government should probably be looking at maybe trying to legalize it so they themselves could make some money off it, and not just the people who are selling it or the people who are buying it.
And Sam, when you say legalize it, I think we might let our public know as well that in some places like Puerto Rico, Aruba, not Puerto Rico, St. Martin, Aruba, a couple other places, there was limited gambling only for tourist persons and not for local persons as well. So there's a number of ways that this could be done. It doesn't have to be legalized gambling and everybody allowed to be gambling. There could be designated areas. There could be specific areas that you could gamble and areas that you can't gamble.
Well, he mentioned like the horse track.
Yeah, like
the horse track would be a great place
would be an area
to start.
Yeah, it could be an area. Right, but I think when you just say, legalize gambling, someone may interpret it to mean just blanket legalization.
Well, let me define myself. When I say legalize gambling, I mean legalize gambling.
Okay.
Across the board, because you can't, in my judgment, you can't have gambling in just in East End, and then West End have a grand hotel, and the hotel say, hey, we have a section, we want to put some slot machines in there, and then you tell them no, and then you can't say just to the tourists, only you're allowed to go impose some slot machine, and then you got locals that say, hey, I want to go down to the casino too. So for me, legalize gambling, again, if we're going to talk about going to Asia and going to the Far East, Eastern European countries, if you look at how these people travel, when a businessman from Russia come to this country, I've driven many of them, when they come to this country and they finish dropping $10 million in an offshore Conquer, and he finished having a good meal at one of our nice restaurants, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, he looking for some action. And it ain't sitting in front of the Grand Cafe or one of them other places. It's going in front of maybe a nice casino. It's probably going to a nice adult gentleman club or a piano bar that have some beautiful ladies serving them wine and champagne. So, I mean, that's just what they asked me for.
Yeah.
So we know it's there. You know what I mean? So we're going to have to get serious about it. One way or the other, that's where we're heading.
Let me see if I can catch a few of these texts before we get back to the phone. I have a text that came in. It says, the people are now voicing their opinions, but what they don't have is a system to have government address those concerns. That points right back to the thing that I was talking about, where the fact that if there was a government portal where you can communicate. I've been on a website already where there's a function of the website where they ask you if you wanna talk to a live person, and you can say yes, and if you say yes, you get a live person answer your question, take the information from you, and they say they're gonna get back to you, and that's it, and you get an email the next couple of days with your solution. That type of interaction, I think, is what we're expecting.
All I could say to that person that text.
Yeah.
It's now we're 28th of January. About 4 weeks ago, almost a month ago.
Yeah.
I called the Ministry of Communication and Work and try to get the PS to return a phone call.
Yeah.
I haven't got one yet, and I used the phone.
Okay.
Because I was trying to find out if there's a policy, because I have a little business I just started, and I was told that in order to license my scooter as a business owner, I have to have a scooter license, and I respect that.
Okay.
I respect that if that's the case, but I wanted to know if there was a written policy, and up to this day can't get a PS to call me back and tell me, or somebody say, hey, there is a policy, this is where you find it. So the communication channel between the people and the government,
yes,
it first has to be fixed.
It needs to be fixed.
The system is broken.
We just took the time out and went to www.bvi.gov.vi and it's not working. So we know for a fact that there is a disconnect here, because if it's not working here right now on the show, it's probably not working in your home as well. So we need to encourage the openness.
Well, Courtney, what we could also do is encourage people when they're experiencing problems. Again, if you're experiencing problems with the Labor Department, the Immigration Department, the Customs Department, people should still find a way. And when I say find a way, I mean, like, write your letters, document your problems, and then take those things to either to your district rep. There should be a location in each district where the rep is sitting, have an office, maybe a information box set up. If you don't have that, then walk it up to the government building. You know,
And
we
leave-
have to
and
be
leave
more
it there.
proactive.
And leave it there.
And leave it there.
Yes.
You know, make some documentation, even if you got to pay a few dollars to make it a certified letter.
Yeah.
You know, because that way you can say later on, hey, you know, here's the copy.
Yes.
You know, so we got to be more, folks, you got to be more proactive.
Yeah.
You have to be. You can't sit around and just wait, you know, for government to take action. So we definitely got to do that.
Okay, Sam, I got another text to say, I totally agree with the caller. He is correct. We as young British Virgin Islanders have to go through hell to even get an interview for a job. And when I do get a job, persons who aren't from here want to get rid of those who are from here, and I hate that to the fullest.
Let me ask you a question, Courtney. Whatever happened to the meeting up in East End? What was the, was there any resolution or, you know, suggestions as to how we can move forward labor and employment? Maybe, you know, having a database set up in each district with potential employers, and then also having a database with potential employees, matching them up with the job opportunity as they come up. Has anything like that came forward yet, you know?
I haven't heard of anything like that, but I know that the meeting was held, and I heard it was a good turnout to the meeting.
Well, that would be a good idea, you know.
That would be a good idea.
I mean, I think we mentioned that at the last show.
Yeah, we did.
You know, the district reps, them should have something like that in place already.
And we have 5 districts. Each district has 5 representatives. So
it's so true.
Yeah, so we know.
5. Folks, don't hesitate. You can call us. Call us and let us know what's going on, what's on your mind. I know a lot of you, you know, stopped me in the street and was telling me all about what was going on in your life. So call us. We have some ideas, but, you know, it's best when you speak, you tell us. The folks who are making the decision and the policies, again, they're listening. Believe it or not, they are listening.
I think so. Sam, I got another text. It says, good night. I listen to you all. What is the main reason for changing the license from 3 years to 1 year? Now, that's a good question, and I do not have the answer to that. However, I would suggest if there's anyone of our legislators who know the answer to it, if they could call the show, we would appreciate it very much.
Well, the PS should know.
There are a number of people that should know. This is something that went through the Legislative Council. This is not a secret. So if one of them would
it's also,
let us know.
We probably should let people know about the Gazette.
Yeah,
because some people don't know.
It should also
it's
be
on the Gazette, yeah.
Another text that came in, I would like the government to look into the matter where employers take money from your salary for Social Security and never pay it in. A woman have to wait 2 months after maternity leave to get any help from Social, all because her Social Security money wasn't paid. That is a situation that I spoke about myself before, and I think it's wrong, and I think you know, people that do that should really discontinue doing it, because it not only affects the worker, but it also affects the worker's family in some instances. You know, like the children, for example, right? Yeah. So, you know, it's a difficult situation, and I don't think that it's the same. I have another one. Where is harder here or home? Where you come from, that's that. I guess that's what the text is saying. It should be harder where you came from. Okay, we have a number more texts, and we're going to get back to them. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to have to take a break for the sponsors of the show who make this show possible. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back with you.
Tanisha Harrigan Scott, and I am here to bring you some exciting news from Digicel. Now you can talk more and text more for only $15. A great new price point from Digicel, the bigger, better network. Have you heard? When you top up $15 or more, you get incredible deals with Digicel. Get 100 free minutes, unlimited SMS, and free weekends for 7 days to local Digicel numbers. Top up $15 again, and it will automatically be extended for another 7 days. For more information, drop by our store or visit our website at www.digicelbbi.com. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're right back with you. We're right here with you with the important views and your concerns and those issues in our community, which is so vital to the proper running of the country. So we're right here, and we're not going to let up. We're going to continue. We were to some extent talking a bit about the texts that were coming in, and I think I'll go right back into the text on it until I get a call. And while I'm at it, though, I think I better mention that this is a live show. So if you call me, you will get me. It's a live show, and we're here, and we will discuss the issue. There you go. We got a call right now. So, good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Courtney.
Yes.
When Dr. Smith became the chief minister in 2007,
Yes.
the first thing he changed was the Rasta law.
Yes.
He said I went someplace to represent the BVI, and the first thing they're trying to face that we deny people entry in the BVI because it's Rasta. He got up in the legislature and he said that. I listened to him. He changed it because he said he thinks it's a foolish law. And he changed it. The second thing he changed was the motorcycle. For another party government, they banned motorcycle. And he bring it back. And he said a certain size could come.
What size is that? Because I would have already gotten a motorcycle already if you...
He said 125 cc. Not what I can come.
But I think that has been in place all the time from before, 125.
Yeah, well, the another party government that banned motorcycles. They couldn't come here.
All together?
Dr. Smith. Yeah, Dr. Smith.
Okay, well,
bring it back.
Okay.
When he come.
I will take you. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And he need to change, lift the ban on some of these country visa.
Okay.
Take for instance, when school closed, you got children from all over the Caribbean, from Guyana straight down to Nevis, come in our country for Carnival. More people could come. They need to do the same thing for the adults as they do for the children. A lot more people will come to our country to see our Carnival. You can't advertise in your country as nature's little secret all over the world, and you're still putting red tape for them to come. You need to lift the ban on some of those countries. Make it abundantly clear. You only could come to the BVI for 1 month vacationing. If you're coming to live or work, you got to go through the changes.
But Carla, you're onto something, you know, because there's such a thing as tourism for friends and family, and it is something that can augment our tourist season. Our tourist season is for a limited number of months, but friends and family traveling is a year-round activity, so that when we don't have the tourists coming here during the tourist season, that can pick up the slack, and instead of some of these businesses closing and saying off-season, they will be able to run a full-year program.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But then the people like Guyana, Jamaica, Santo Domingo, all those would have got visa on. They need to lift the ban on this thing during the summertime. Say, look, you could come to the BVI 1 month. Right? Then according to the kids, do the adults. Because I know a man want to come here, he, his wife, and children want to come from Guyana, but he can't come because he can't get a visa.
Okay.
You know, long time we used to go to Barbados and get a visa free of charge. Now, they're charging you money and you ain't getting it. It's a big racket.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks for that. Sam, that's another form of tourism.
Yeah, well,
and it needs exploring.
Well, I mean, there's many forms of tourism, and I consider St. Thomas, even as far as St. Martin, domestic and domestic tourism. They're so close by. Some of those islands that are marketing reach. I know ZBVI, I believe, in St. Martin. Yes. You could be right over Phillipsburg and you pick it up clear. You know, so it's a mode of marketing, the BVI, and you got these folks so close by. It's cheaper for them to travel here. If you had really good packages, I mean, we have a lot of areas that we can increase our tourism numbers just domestically. So I consider what that caller is saying to be very valid.
Just as an aside to what that caller was saying as well, there's a thing called the Hansard report, and the Hansard report is the actual written stenograph report of the Legislative Council, right? That is usually filed, and from what that person is saying, I should be able to go back and look for that Hansard report for the time when Honorable Dr. Smith was the Chief Minister, and I should be able to find whatever he said at that time. Now, I don't know how well we've been keeping up with the Hansard reports, but that is something that the public need to know, that is something that the public is entitled to be able to read the Hansard report. Good evening, you have Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good evening. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
This recession has reached home to you as yet?
No.
That's good.
I'm a planter, so I'm going to survive.
Okay.
But I have a problem. I see that when I went to get my trade license, the very Syrian man paying $75 for their trade license. I think that's wrong. They need to pay more. You understand? Them people their business don't live up off the ground. The government need to take $1,000, $2,000 from them people every year for their trade license. How you going to be paying $75 to run a big business? You're going up in the States, buying clothes $2, down here selling them on $40, $50. You know what I mean? They need to pay more. They need to pay based on how much they will be making a year when they go into the trade place.
So you're suggesting that we should change the tax system?
Yes, it needs to change.
Should it change across the board or just for a particular group of people?
Across the board.
So even yourself now, if you 5 years from now you became successful.
Not people them. So them people who are done rich already.
So Carla, let me ask you.
More for tax.
Let me ask you a question. 5 years from now you became successful. Your business is booming. Should the government charge you $2,000 a year now to renew your trade license?
Well, if the business pick up and it's making good money, where I could suppose to inject that into the economy, yes.
Okay.
So basically what you're saying is the tax system that we have right now, where if you work, you pay tax. Only workers pay tax. You think that should change?
I ain't saying that. I'm talking about the trade license.
Well, taxes, the trade license is a form of tax, you know.
To the system to know all them kind of tax. I'm speaking specifically about the trade license.
All the monies that you have to pay into the government is a form of tax. Okay? So trade license is a form of tax. So you're specifically saying that we should increase the trade license for some areas.
Yes, based on the business, based on how much you're making a year.
So a contractor will get a $10 million deal to build a highway. His trade license the next year should automatically go up. That's what you're saying? Or a law firm that's making, dealing with $200-300 million worth of transaction a year. You're saying that the person who owns the law firm, their trade license fee should increase.
Yes. Because they're making enough so they could pay back to the government. They're making enough. They shouldn't be paying $75 and things for a trade license. Let the poor people and pay that.
So what about the politicians who are making big salary and then get to live for free? Should they be taxed more?
I don't know how much that makes. I can't speak for that. I'm speaking about the trade license tonight.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your concern.
They heard you.
Right.
They heard you. We heard you as well. Well, Sam,
trade license fees increase. There's a different tier though. for different trade license.
There is
I just renewed 5 of them, and I paid different money for different ones. So there is a different tier. But I think the caller is probably alluding to the fact that there should be more. You know, and
I'm pretty sure that is something that the government probably would look into, because I'm also of the concern that there's some license fees and some farms to purchase farms and to do some government business, that the cost to government is not reflected in the cost of the service.
Well, I gotta tell you though, personally, I believe that anytime the government can minimize the cost or the investment cost to a potential employer, I would support that.
Because they're only going to pass it on to the consumer.
Absolutely. Plus, you know, we're talking about creating jobs and opportunity for other people who didn't have it.
Right.
So if you can minimize the cost and the overhead, you know, that's one of our biggest failures in this country right now for small entrepreneurs such as myself, people like yourself and other people, is that the cost of doing business is too high in this country. You can't find adequate space to do your business. You know, the cost of rent for some of these small little spots is ridiculous. You know, trying to get loans, secure loan, so you can get a vehicle to start whatever business you're trying to do, it's outrageous. So I hear what the caller's saying. I don't think we should pinpoint any particular group of people or person simply because you think that they've made it. I think if they are giving back in a form of employment for others, insurance, taxes, and all the other stuff that they have to pay as an employer back to the government for their employees, I think they're contributing enough. And a trade license, if they're paying $100 or $75, I really don't see how is that going to really put a whole lot of money back into the economy if somebody has 5 people employed already. You know, I think they're already doing their job. I think they're doing exactly what they need to be doing, creating jobs and opportunity, and allowing those people now to contribute back to the government coffers, you know, in the form of taxes and so forth. So, plus, you know, people who are employed, they tend to spend money. And you spend money, those are one of the indicators about how well your economy is doing. If you ain't spending no money, the economy ain't moving. That means nobody's importing anything. And if you don't import anything, your economy dead.
But Sam, we're kind of right back to where we were talking before about circulation of money in circulation, and where I mentioned the banks, and I was saying that we're getting a report that little or no money is in circulation. The banks are, you know, the interest rates are very low that they give you when you save your money with them. Right, I heard one caller last week said you get less than a percentage to save your money, which is really, you know, terrible. The refinancing rate is very high. We see on the internet every day what the New York Prime is, and we hear banks here quoting and saying that they're 1% above the New York Prime. The New York Prime is very low at this stage, and their rates are much higher than the 1% they're claiming to be about the New York Prime. So, you know, let's take the call and we'll come back to that. Yes, good evening. If you speak your mind, go right ahead, please.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Following up the conversation that the lady just spoke about.
Okay.
I'm calling from an employer's view.
Okay.
Now, for the trade license, I understand it's only $70 or $75 per year. But even though you look through the tax system versus an employee's salary scale, and every year we as employees we go and pay $600. Some of us pay $350 per year.
That's a good point.
If you check our scale salaries,
yes,
and with the condition of living, some of us are suffering, but we cannot reach out to people in those areas. And I think it's a great challenge with this conversation that you guys have. You should follow up on it, because if you look at it, I mean, it's maybe how the system is, but I think it's a condition that people, as the lady saying, that the poor people or the people who are more smaller scale business, they tend to suffer. I heard you say about, I think it's the bond and the stuff that the employers do for the employees. But I don't think in relation to Dove versus the cost of that trade license should be so low. I'm telling you from an employer situation and how I might evaluate the system.
Thank you very much for shedding light in this area, because you're making a very strong point, and it should argument what was said before. I also want to add to it that in addition to that situation, we as a country, when investors come to invest in our country, we give them tax breaks, from toilet paper to vehicles to almost everything. And that puts a disadvantage to other smaller businesses trying to make it in a country who get no breaks at all. So that is another level, so to speak. But I understand your position, where you as an employee, well, if you have employees and the employees are paying over $300 each to be working in the company, then $75 is very minimal to get a license for the company. I understand that completely.
Yeah, I'm sure. So thank you for listening, but you can check about that.
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much. So Sam, we have a couple of different views there.
Well, the caller here just now and the caller before, pretty much on the same scale. The lady alluded to saying that she believed that some people should be paying more.
Yes.
And this gentleman is I think he said he's an employer, and he think that it is too low. And by based on some of the other evaluations. So
yeah,
I personally don't think having a big tax burden or making it difficult, whether it's paying more money to acquire a trade license, if you're really intended to employ people, I personally wouldn't want to touch some of that. I may raise it a little bit, but
it's a balancing act.
Yeah, that's what it is. But I hear what you said just now too, and I think it's very important. I want to touch that because there is a fact that a lot of people, big companies, investors come into the country and invest in, but they get so much concession. It's almost seems like they just invest in without having to invest.
Yes.
You know?
Let's go to the phone and come back. Good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hello, Courtney. Good night.
Good night, sir.
I have a question for you. I would like to ask you that those employees who take out Social Security and do not pay it up, and when you go to labor to renew your work permit, it's on a hold. Is there any way that they could look into those boss that are not paying up the Social Security?
Well, my advice to you right off the bat would be to report it to Social Security, because I think they're in a position to follow up on it. As I was made to understand that they have an attorney that's working on that type of issue. Not that they have someone hired. They have an attorney in-house that works on that type of issue.
Carl, can I ask you a question? When you get your paycheck or your pay stub, do you get a pay stub that detail the deductions?
Yes.
Okay. When you collect those deductions, when you collect those stubs, you store them up. Let's say every 6 months. Do you periodically go into Social Security and double check and see if your stuff is being paid up?
No.
That's one thing. That's one thing I would probably do. And if it's not being paid up, based on your deduction, the way it works for some places, and using personal experience, is that today if I take out $10, the next time I take out money from your account, it would say how much I took out today, that day, and then what is the total amount taken out year to date. So you should have an indication of exactly how much money was taken out for Social Security, how much money was taken out for whatever other taxes or benefits or insurance, and then every 6 months you should be double checking. You should be proactively double checking that to making sure that that's being paid, because according to what you're saying, you're having a problem. Every year you're going to renew your work permit, right?
Yes.
So therefore, before it gets to that point, we should start double checking that information 6 months before, 8 months before, and then that way Social Security and Labor Department is on the same page, and you're in a safeguard mode instead of, you know what I mean, constantly have to try to defend yourself. Because if they're not paying their Social Security, I'm sure it's probably illegal. It should be against the law, because the law requires that everybody working pay Social Security.
It is illegal.
Okay, thank you very much.
So follow up on that. Follow up on your pay stub. Your pay stub should have it, and double check and keep.
My pay stub have it when whatever it is done.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, and keep your own ledger too.
Well, Carla, all I would suggest to you is just make some copies of a few of those pay stubs and take them into Social Security.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wow. So people are actually taking people's money out and not paying it, huh?
That's what's happening. Anyways,
like
Sam, as you know, we're grateful for these sponsors that make the show possible. So we're being asked to take a break for the sponsors. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Hi, I am Tanisha Harrigan Scott, and I am here to bring you some exciting news from Digicel. Now you can talk more and text more for only $15. A great new price plan from Digicel, the bigger, better network. Have you heard? When you top up $15 or more, you get incredible deals with Digicel. Get 100 free minutes, unlimited SMS, and free weekends for 7 days to local Digicel numbers. Top up $15 again, and it will automatically be extended for another 7 days. For more information, drop by our store or visit our website at www.digicelbbi.com. Digicel terms and conditions apply.
We're right back at you. Don't forget that this show is rebroadcast twice during the week, on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. And we have a number of texts that we're going to try and get to. We have text that came in here that says the number of robberies and that we should go to a curfew. I said something like that not so long ago.
The robberies are really plaguing the system right now.
Yeah, it's one person came texting and said, "Speak Your Mind is an expat program. You guys messing our government." I don't think that that's not something nice to say about our program. I want to touch bases on the robberies that are happening. We need that curfew. And it's a text that came in. It says, "Good evening. Apparently it seems that the BVI wants to do certain things as the U.S. How about giving back some sort of tax at year end to us in order to help us?" That's speaking to a tax return system that's similar to what you have in the U.S. That would be a major change in the way how we pay taxes right now, because right now we only pay taxes for employment, only employment taxes. Another text that came in, should the government allow slot machines and the like into the BVI? And they said question mark, question mark. So that's a question. Government need to replace all these controlling and power-hungry women that are head of departments. That's where the country is failing. So another comment. What about the social downside to gambling? That's a very true position there. I think that is one of the reasons why in some countries they limit the type of people in the country who can gamble at different locations.
I think that's probably one of the reasons why we haven't really engaged in gambling here too, because they were looking at those type of, outcome. What if,
Yeah. I work for a hotel. Is it right for them to tax my tips That's something that came in under the new labor code, and I think you should take it up with the labor department.
Tips are being taxed?
Yeah. You all say to the people not to spend money outside the territory, but suppose tourists were super thrifty and their government say the same thing. What would we depend, how would we do? We depend on their money. Tourism is a worldwide thing, and it works both ways. I agree. The attitude of employees in the workplaces need to change, especially government workers in passport office. There's somebody who have a beef particularly with the passport office. But by the way, I think I should mention, Sam, I think I didn't mention yet, but I'd like to mention now that most government departments and ministries have a charter, which is a charter with the people of the Virgin Islands, and that charter speaks to a number of issues, one of them being customer service, accountability,
their focus, goal,
and all those things. So I think if they are not living up to their end of the bargain, then we as the citizens should point out to them that they're not living up to that end of the bargain by filing whatever we have to file with them. You know, some of them have Dropbox in the office. You know, go and write up a report and drop it in the suggestion box. Or if you can't do that, send a message directly to their supervisor, whoever is in charge, and say, look, I've been, you know, coming here for a service, and this is the type of service I've been getting. Don't accept or don't settle for the poor service. I demand good service. Social Security should sue employers who take out contributions and don't forward it to the system, and Social Security then have to honor it as if it had been paid. I don't even think they honor it as if it has been paid. I don't think that happens.
You shouldn't have to.
But no, but the point is, though, if I read it again, it says Social Security should sue employers who take out contributions and don't forward it to the system.
And then honor it. And
Social Security then have to honor it as if it had been paid. Well, you know. Yes, I being a young adult is fed up of the direction the British Virgin Islands is going right now. Do you know how much times I have required assistance from our government on numerous occasions? Sad to say that they treated me, a British Virgin Islander, as an outsider, one of many who helped put those same persons in the seats that they are sitting right now. Yes, cost of living is getting very high here, and Sam do have a point. Legalizing gambling is one of the main means in getting this country back on track. For example, with the McDonald's and other franchise businesses would help provide jobs and such. People are confused of the fact that when these businesses come into the BVI, we are obligated to have these franchise business to pay taxes, which will help generate money in the BVI. It's a long text, but a person put a point across, and they're speaking about making some changes to the way we do business in order to facilitate, you know, money being in the economy. I am listening to them callers about the lotto and the need to put things to consideration, because they have plenty of people win lotto and invest that money right in the BVI. That's no LOL. That is true, Texas. That is very true. There are people that have invested their earnings here and build projects, etc. Another text that came in: while labor takes so long to renew work permit, and you have to pay 2, even 3 times to immigration for time. That is a complaint that I've been hearing as well. I think there needs to be some coordination between those two departments to make it more smooth for the people who have to deal with it. Expatriates need to pay more than belonger, and the tax needs to be prorated and not 8% across the board. They're talking about the tax. Good evening, you're free, speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Be careful.
Yes, sir.
Good night to you and Sam.
Sorry?
I say good night to you and Mr. Sam.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
So I will put up the light to politician body.
Take it easy, you know.
Listen, and the social security thing, right?
Yeah.
Once you have the just split for the guy where you're inside you, once you have this people in view,
Yes.
so social security and either.
Okay.
So I don't think there is no problem. Once you have this slip and you go to social security deal with you, and then social security deal with you work after.
But you know, it is a problem that there are some people who are withholding money from the workers and not turning anything to the Social Security.
Yeah, but I just say, I know that, but I know once you're working with somebody and it's supposed to take your money, you have to make sure they're supposed to get a slip. And when them get a slip and you go by social security to take care of you, and then they will report after.
But you're making a point there as well that give you a slip. Some people don't give a slip.
Yeah, I know. So you know you have to make sure. And like what someone said, question, all the American guys with this 6 months, you never have to wait until 6 months.
Right.
At the end of the month, you should
Exactly.
check social security just to make sure you're thing up to date.
Yeah. And
And I want to say something quick.
go right ahead.
You know, because it's been voting, right? Some time ago I was told because it's been hired 3 white people by hotels. And then after all them start to lay off, the people who work, they getting 3 days off. So now you hire 3 new people who making ton of money. And the ordinary people who are working and are getting 3 days off. I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
I think the government now need to build some signs and send them by all them business people, please, and tell them, listen, usually you have nothing more coming until when things get straight. Because you think the thing that you're thinking of, you're thinking only employees. Listen, if 490 something people, the minister just said he register, but an employee, you have a lot of children who born here with them parents over here, who gone back where the parents come from until when they make 18. And when they make 18 years and they come back, you think you put it on their income? You don't see a problem? You might see your head like a bill and then you might hear something and raise up again. You got a lot of things to fix.
Carla.
I agree with Carla. All the analysts said that the Minister of Labour and the Minister of Communication got a lot of work to do. But the Minister of Labour, he needs to get some sleep that night because he got a lot of work to do. They have a lot of people who are working permit only working 3 days a week. And still when you look, some people still bringing in workers all the time. And the Minister will put a stop it to it. If you say he stop the working permit, he will stop working permit for everybody. You can't allow look at the hotel for bringing 3 new people. And you got people can't find work. But then you usually have.
Carla, let me ask you, let me put something to you and tell me what you think. You just mentioned, and it's true, we have a lot of young people. I was just at the college the other day. We have a lot of young people who are from here. Let's assume they're all from here. They have the belonging status or the citizens. They don't need to go to the Labor Department to register and work on the work permit.
No.
What's wrong with the system, each area, each zone, or each district, organizing within their district a database of all prospective employers? An employer, they should register everybody in the community that have a business, first of all. And everybody in that community that is looking for people or maybe needing new workers, first they have to go to the community centers to pull the prospective employee from there first. Because they don't need to go to the Labor Department now. Hear what I'm saying? And then the people who do need to go to the Labor Department, who have to go on work permit, will be registered with the Labor Department. Don't you think that the young people them will have a quicker access to employment that way, rather than some of the jumbling of them right now and trying to figure out, if I live in West End and I don't have a car and I can't commute to Scrub Island to get a job, don't you think that what's available in West End I should know, and it should be immediate? You shouldn't have to be trying to figure it out. If Long Bay have opening coming up in the next 3 months, for whatever reason, that information should be registered with a community center in Apple Bay or Long Bay. So somebody in that area knows immediately there's work available.
I agree with you. And Labor Department should know too.
Labor Department has to know regardless. I'm not eliminating Labor Department. I'm simply saying for the young people who live in these different areas who are looking for work right now, you got East End Long, look, you have Scrub Island, Lambert Beach, you got some bars, you got some supermarket, you got a whole bunch of things happening. Go to West End, go to Just Van Dyke, you got potential employees in different areas. I'm not saying that somebody from East End can't go to Just Van Dyke and work if he can get there and get to work. I'm not saying that. What I'm simply saying is that you would be able to facilitate the people in the different zones, in the different district, quicker and easier if the employers in those areas are registered right there, and the employees, the prospective employees, are also registered, so you can match and merge and marry them at the same time quicker, rather than going through the bureaucracy of the Labor Department. And this is only for people who have rights in the country, who don't need a work permit to be processed. People who need work permit to be processed now will now go to the Labor Department to seek work. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree. But I want to say something quick before I go. When I say very one, every man and people go see a store, the way people sit down looking work.
Yeah,
It's crazy people in there who work in there. Listen, when you hire somebody who work for you, you're supposed to go work for the person, you're supposed to be very own about looking for work. You hire the man who work for you, you sponsor the man who work for you, you're supposed to go work for the man.
yeah, but Carla, I don't know if you remember what I said. I said one of the things that we have here as a problem is we have followed the American model of labor by flooding the market with labor, whereby getting cheaper and cheaper labor. And that is the problem.
But you know where that comes from? You know where that comes from also, Carla? Let's be real about it. Lack of enforcement. Our politicians in the past have allowed this behavior. Exactly what Courtney's saying. They flooded the market hoping that they can, whoever, prospective employers could get cheaper labor. But the problem is that many of these people, remember our labor work permit is only on a year basis, right? So every year somebody has to renew their work permit. Many of those people I've heard are belongers now. But let's look at the people who are not belongers, who are in the country. This may be a bit inhumane or a little harsh on some people. But the reality is if I go to any place and a work permit, and my work permit expires, the law says that you're supposed to leave the country. Immigration is supposed to enforce that.
Sam. Hello?
Yeah, we having you now.
Loud and
Just
clear.
something quick and go, right? Thank you so much for the chance.
Okay.
I think in the honorable leader position is a good man. He definitely is a good man. He makes some mistake. And what the mistake he make, he should have never put the president in former Minister of Natural Resources for the Minister of Natural Resources. He almost turned the Labor Department upside down. And the lady who was there, she wasn't even, she wasn't equipped for the job.
Okay.
I believe everybody probably will lead a position. He should not put the minister who he put there, he make the Labor Department turn upside down. Because people who entitled to exemption and something did not get it, and people who did not entitled to get it. Have a good night.
All right, thanks for your contribution. Okay. Sam, we're running into the close of the show. We're being asked to bring the show to an end, so we're going to have to work on getting the last couple of items that we have in here. We didn't get to all of the texts that we should have gotten to. We got to have quite a few of them. And of course, something I wanted to touch on that I didn't get to say is that that this affects you, so you should appreciate me saying it anyway. The center line in the road, the marking of the roads, right? We've had some repair done to some of the roads, and this has not been done, say, in the Seacoast Bay resurfacing areas yet. And I think it's something that should be done. It helps the motoring public. It keeps persons on their side of the road. And I'm speaking about the solid line or the dash line that's in the middle of the road. By the way, I know a former police guy always used to be telling me all the time, it should not be broken around the corner. The corner,
it should be solid.
It should be solid.
A solid white.
Solid
or yellow.
The law is changed to make it yellow.
Yeah, solid yellow, because it represents a caution zone.
However, we haven't seen any of that yellow stuff done as yet.
Well,
but
work needs to be done.
We agitate sometime, right? I want to agitate for. it also helps, God forbid, where you have accidents, right? You can measure from the center line to say who was more on one side or who was on, and it gets to the point where we're seeing more and more people are, you know, they're not respecting the side that they should be on. I think that is really bad. They should really respect the side.
Well, government is strapped.
That they should
We're strapped for money. What are we going to do?
Well, you know, you have to collect some money. If you're strapped for money, you have to find ways, innovative ways to collect some money.
But in addition to that line you talked about, we need reflectors on the side.
We need reflectors on the side of the road. That's true.
My God.
Yeah. And street lights. A lot of dark roads out there, and maybe that's why people put on brighter lights. Anyway, Sam, we had a very good show. We started out talking about banks and the interest rates and the refinancing, and the fact that we save our money, and we save our money at very little interest, the way how our banking is. And I'm not talking about any particular bank. I'm saying the banks
across
the board. Okay, we talked about the BVI government portal and how they should have it up and running. It's also a way of communicating with the public. The driver's license issue came up in the work permit system, and how they should be more, how they should be more in sync with each other, rather than having like a tug of war, as you know, between the driver's license and the work permit system. I mentioned the Hansard report, which is a report that is done for all legislators. The whole discussion that goes on in the House of Assembly. Right, the transcript from it is called a Hansard, and it should be available for us to read, for time and time again. Like, for example, we should be able to go back to the past ones and read them.
You know our brand, right? The name of our brand for the BVI marketing? Nature's Little Secret.
Nature's Little Secret.
Everything is a secret in this country.
Oh, okay, it shouldn't be done now, especially for the parts of it that we pay taxes for.
Especially in the public forum.
Especially in the public forum.
Legislative Council information should be published immediately.
Should be published immediately. We talked about money being in circulation in the country, and we got off a little bit into lottery and the fact that, the whole discussion about lottery should be something that the ministry responsible for dealing with it should probably take it up as a discussion issue and see what are the pros and the cons in this community at this time, about it, vis-a-vis, tourism, business, gambling, the whole 9 yards, including the illegal sale of lottery. We spoke about investors getting a tax break, and how local investors don't get that same type of tax break, but persons who come in and call themselves investors, they're given the red carpet, and they're given a lot of tax concessions that local persons that local persons will never get. We're going to mention now too that the H. Laudistau Community College, the Small Island Conference, we're going to have some guests with us next week that are going to deal with that conference. One of the things I always say is know your district and know how many jobs, how many street lights, how many community centers, etc. is in your district, and you have 5 representatives who you can talk to. Sam, all in all, we had a very good show. Could you give some last remarks before we go?
Well, I just want to say that I know that there's a lot of people out there watching. I want to speak in particular to the silent majority. I was, somebody made a comment to me just this week, and it resonated, and it makes a lot of sense. But I want people to know that, yes, you are the silent majority, but if we don't voice our concern and we don't say what's really holding us back from progressing in life, the people who are in charge of making policies and communicating with those who are making policies, if they don't hear what we have to say, nothing will change. So this week, I think moving forward, one of the things that's really touching me is, yes, the unemployment in this country is getting bigger and bigger. If we're talking about our own local people, consider the people who are not from here, who are, quietly seeking jobs while they're unemployed. So we have to really address our unemployment issue in this country. And I have tossed out time after time my idea is not the only idea. There's a lot of people out there, but I think when we call and we have concern, you know, come with some ideas that how we could rectify and fix the problem we're experiencing. So labor could be dealt with on a more micro level in the communities, in the district, in the zones, and then on a much bigger scale, if you have to, through the Labor Department, because everybody's saying there's so much bureaucracy in the Labor Department right now. It's going to take a minute to fix what's going on in there. But in the meantime, what's happening right now with the registration of all these young people looking for work, that could be micromanaged from the different zones, knowing who's in your neighborhood, who has opportunities for these people to get jobs and so forth, and giving them an opportunity to first get in there. So that's one thing. And then also, folks, last but not least, a lot of people, you know, tap me about, you know, the issues they're having with the money they have to come up with when they're registering their license plate, registering their driver's license and their work permit. It's all blended in. I understand your concern. So I suggest that we hopefully will have a blog set up next week. We're gonna throw that information out there so you guys can start writing us, writing JTV blog or whatever it is, Speak Your Mind blog on these different issues, and then we can probably print those blogs for you and submit them to the government. You know, if you have 150 blog response to a comment that was made about where you was born is where you should be from, I think it shows that people have a real interest and they have real concern and real problems. So, we're here to listen, to facilitate, but at the same time, why not show some good solution or some ideas once in a while? So, join us again next week. Yeah. Same place, same time.
Yeah, and just before I forget, I just mentioned that the H. Lively Stout Community College Small Island Conference, they will be here with us next week. And at this point in time, I would like to say thank all the persons that text and called and were a part of this show. We appreciate it very much, and we look forward to it every week. And I would like to say God bless these Virgin Islands and the people that live in them, and we will be back with you next week.